November 27th, 1944. 1:47 in the morning. Isley Field, Saipan, Northern Mariana Islands. Commander Robert McAllister stands at the edge of a bomb crater that has just torn through his runway. The hole measures 20 feet across. Jagged steel matting lies twisted around its perimeter, reflecting the construction lights that still burn across the airstrip. Mac is 42 years old. His hands are calloused from 2 years of Pacific construction work. His uniform shows coral dust and sweat. He has not slept in 36 hours. Behind him, 3 Boeing B-29 Superfortresses burn, $600,000 each. Now wreckage. 11 more B-29s sit damaged across the field, shrapnel holes punched through aluminum skin. But Mac is not looking at destroyed aircraft. He is calculating. 81 B-29 Superfortresses departed yesterday for Tokyo. 1,500 miles. They are returning now. Fuel critical, some damaged, some with wounded aboard. They will arrive in 4 hours.
If this runway is not operational, 891 men will ditch in the Pacific at night. Survival rate less than 30%. Mac checks his watch. 1:48 a.m. Protocol says 40 minutes to repair a bomb crater. He has done this before. Guadalcanal, New Guinea, Tinian. The Seabees can patch a 500-pound hit in 40 minutes, but as he walks the crater's edge, his engineer's eye sees complications. This is not one crater. This is 2, one large, one smaller. The damage pattern suggests a 1,000-pound bomb, maybe larger. And there is something else. Something at the secondary crater's edge. Mac moves closer. Kneels. His blood goes cold. An unexploded bomb. Japanese Type 99. 250 kilograms. Sitting in coral rubble. Did not detonate, which means it still can. They cannot fill the crater with that bomb sitting there. Cannot lay panels over it. The vibration from compaction equipment could trigger detonation.
But they also cannot wait hours for bomb disposal. Hours they do not have. Mac looks at his watch. 1:49 a.m. This is not a 40-minute repair. This is impossible. The story begins 3 years earlier. Camp McCall, North Carolina. November 1941. Lieutenant Robert McAllister, 38 years old. Army Corps of Engineers arrives to observe a demonstration, an experimental runway under construction. But instead of concrete, the surface consists of interlocking steel panels. A man in civilian clothes stands at the runway's edge. Early 50s, carrying engineering drawings. Gerald Rutherford Matheson, he says. Carnegie Steel. Lieutenant McAllister. They walk the runway as crews lay panels. 4 men per panel. Methodical. Systematic. Each panel slides into position with hooks engaging slots. Clips hammered home. The sound of steel on steel rings across the clearing. 10 feet long, Matheson says. 15 inches wide. 66 pounds. Mac calculates silently. A 1,000-foot runway requires 800 panels, 26.5 tons of steel. Concrete equivalent would be 800 tons, plus weeks of curing time.
The advantage is obvious, but engineering is about trade-offs. What's the catch? Mac asks. Matheson picks up a panel, tilts it. 87 holes punched through the steel, each approximately 2.5 inches in diameter. Every engineer who sees this calculates we've removed 17.5% of the steel. They conclude we've lost 17.5% of the strength. Matheson pulls out technical drawings. They're wrong. He explains, the holes reduce weight from 82 pounds to 66. One man can handle it repeatedly during a 12-hour shift. The punched holes create flanged edges corrugation effect, actually increasing structural rigidity by 3%. And the holes provide drainage, 14 gallons per minute per 100 square feet, critical for tropical operations. But here's what matters. Matheson says, laying out a larger drawing showing dozens of interlocked panels. You don't evaluate individual panels.
You evaluate the system. When panels interlock, load distributes across multiple panels. A 65-ton aircraft doesn't land on one panel. It lands on 28 simultaneously. Mac studies the mathematics. Each panel alone rated for 866 pounds, but interlocked 2,100 pounds per panel, because the load is shared. The weakness of individual components becomes the strength of the system, Mac says slowly. Exactly. Germans design one perfect panel, costs 3 times as much, takes twice as long, and if it fails, catastrophic. This system is resilient. One panel fails, load redistributes. You pull out the damaged piece and replace it in minutes. Matheson looks at Mac directly. I've designed steel structures for 30 years, and I've learned that perfection is the enemy of deployment. The perfect solution that arrives too late is worthless. Adequate arriving on time wins wars. He taps the drawing. These 87 holes represent what we sacrifice,
material, theoretical maximum strength. We sacrifice those things to gain speed. Deployability, mass production, repairability. The Japanese will build perfect runways in 6 months. We'll build adequate runways in 6 days. Adequate deployed 30 times faster wins. Mac understands. This is not just engineering, this is philosophy. Europeans and Japanese craft perfection mastery, American systems quantity replaceable components. Lieutenant Matheson says, when you get to the Pacific, you'll see airfields on coral atolls, bomber bases built in weeks, all possible because of these 87 holes. Standing there in November 1941, Mac believes it, but neither of them can imagine how prophetic those words will become.
September 1942. Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. Lieutenant McAllister, now 39, stands on the first operational mast and mat runway in combat. The mat arrived 3 weeks after Marines captured the airfield. Initial installation, 1,000 feet of steel matting. The rest remains compressed coral. When tropical rains hit, unimproved sections turn to mud. Aircraft bog down. The matted sections remain firm. Water drains through 87 holes per panel. The surface stays operational even during monsoons. But bombing teaches Mac the real lesson. August 21st. Japanese bombardment. 1 shell strikes the matted section. 18-foot crater. 20 panels destroyed. Mac's team, 100 Seabees, goes to work. They have practiced but never under actual combat, never knowing that failure means Marine fighters cannot defend the island. Pre-positioned repair stations every 1,000 feet. 40 panels stockpiled. Tools, sledgehammers, everything needed for rapid repair. The team pulls damaged panels, fills the crater with crushed coral, grades it level. Then, fresh panels. Carried 4 men to a panel, slid into position, hooks engaging, clips hammered home, 43 minutes, 3 over protocol, but functional. 6 Marines wounded during the repair, shrapnel from continuing bombardment, but they stayed at their posts. That night, Mac revises the system. Positions teams at repair stations every 1,000 feet. Increases stockpiles to 60 panels instead of 40. Creates redundancy. Next bomb hit 38 minutes. 2 under protocol. Over 4 months, Henderson Field is bombed repeatedly. Each time Seabees repair faster. 35 minutes. 32 minutes. Mac learns what Matheson meant. The system matters more than components. Individual panels fail, individual men fall. But the system, the stockpiles, the protocol, the redundancy keeps functioning. In war, the side whose systems continue functioning wins. Mac's thoughts return to Saipan, to the crater, to the approaching dawn. It is 1:52 a.m. Men are gathering. 83 Seabees. More arriving. Within minutes he will have a 100-man repair team. But as construction lights illuminate the damage, new details emerge. The crater is deeper than typical 500-pound impacts. The bomb must have been heavier, 1,000 pounds or more. And that unexploded ordnance at the secondary crater's edge, still sitting there, still capable of detonating. Mac stands. His mind calculates implications. They cannot fill the crater with the bomb present, cannot compact coral around it. The vibration could trigger detonation, but they cannot wait for safe disposal. That could take hours. He looks at his watch. 1:54 a.m. 81 B-29s are 3 hours and 58 minutes away. The mathematics that seemed challenging 60 seconds ago have become impossible. Mac turns to face the assembled Seabees. 100 men waiting. They can see the crater. The unexploded bomb. They know what it means. For a moment, no one speaks. Only the crackling flames from burning B-29s and the distant crash of Pacific waves. Then Mac speaks. His voice is calm, steady. The voice of a man who has done this across multiple islands, multiple crises. Gentlemen, we have complications. 2 craters, 1,200 square feet of damage, 1 unexploded bomb, and 81 aircraft inbound with fuel at minimums. He pauses. Standard protocol is 40 minutes for a 500-pound crater. This is not standard, but we're doing it anyway. He points to 3 men. Sergeant Kowalski materials, stage panels. We need 160 minimum from primary and backup stockpiles. Frank Kowalski is 34, Pittsburgh steel mill worker before the war. He nods once, turns, starts organizing. Corporal Briggs Foundation. Assess crater depth, calculate coral requirements, get it done. Elliot Briggs is 27. Arizona mining family. He moves toward the crater with measuring tape. Private Ashford, you're with me on the ordnance problem. Theodore Ashford is 22, engineering student, 3 months in theatre. His face is pale, but he nods.
Everyone else, standard repair stations. When we're ready to lay panels, I want 6 four-man teams ready. This will not be sequential installation. We're trying something different. The men disperse. Organized chaos. Everyone knows their role. Mac walks to the crater with Ashford following. The bomb sits partially buried. Japanese markings visible. "Sir," Ashford says quietly, "I haven't trained on bomb disposal." "Neither have I. But we're not disposing of it. We're working around it." Mac studies the bomb's position, 6 feet from the main crater's perimeter. If it detonates another 15-foot crater, will destroy any repair work, will likely kill anyone nearby. But if they extend the repair area 20 feet north and 15 feet south, they can create a safety perimeter. Can route landing traffic away from this section. More panels required, more complex geometry, but it might work. "Get me Lieutenant Patterson from bomb disposal," Mac tells a runner. 10-minute assessment, and get Sergeant Kowalski. While waiting, Mac sketches in his notebook. 2 craters. The bomb. Available space. Required load paths for 65-ton aircraft. Kowalski arrives. "Sir." "Different number, Frank. We're extending to create a safety zone around that bomb. 1,500 square feet, 200 panels. Kowalski processes. "Primary stockpile has 180. Backup has 70. That's 250 total. Gives us 50-panel buffer. Time to transport. 12 minutes. 4 truck runs. Do it. Check every panel. 0 defects. No corrosion. No bent hooks. No margin for error." Patterson arrives. 32 years old. Bomb disposal. Thin, nervous energy. Brilliant with mechanisms. He examines the unexploded bomb with portable X-ray equipment. 6 minutes of silence. Mac counts every second. Patterson stands. "Commander, this is Type 99 with modified fuse, not standard impact trigger. This has pressure and vibration activation." Mac understands immediately. "Designed to detonate when aircraft land." "Yes, sir. They designed it specifically to defeat rapid repair. We fill the crater lay matting, and when the first B-29 touches down, vibration triggers detonation." The Japanese have adapted, learned from previous attacks, developed munitions to counter American rapid runway repair. "Can you defuse it? 2 hours minimum. 40% failure risk." "Can we move it?" "Same problem. Moving creates vibration." Mac looks at the bomb. At his watch. 2:07 a.m. 3 hours 45 minutes. "Then we work around it. Extend the repair area. Create safety perimeter. Route landing path to avoid this section." Patterson looks uncertain. "Sir, nearby vibration could still trigger it." "Noted. But it's our only option. If we wait for safe disposal, 900 men ditch at sea. If we relocate, and 1 aircraft triggers detonation, we lose 1 crew. The mathematics are brutal but clear." Patterson nods slowly. "Understood. Position your team at safe distance. Monitor continuously. Any indication of imminent detonation, you alert me immediately." Briggs approaches with calculations. "Sir, crater depth averages 8 feet. Volcanic ash underlayer. That's a problem. Ash is compressible. Won't support 65-ton loads. We need 10 feet of compacted coral to reach stable substrate, but standard stockpile only provides 8 feet. Another complication that doesn't close. Mac thinks. Charlie taxiway services fighter revetments. P-51 Mustangs, much lighter than B-29s. That taxiway has mast and mat over coral fill. Charlie taxiway. Can we mine coral from underneath? Briggs considers. Yes, sir. Remove matting sections, excavate coral, restore later. Would temporarily disable the taxiway. Do it. Calculate exact requirements. Take only what's necessary. I want crews with pneumatic drills working in 15 minutes. 25 minutes to extract and transport, sir. More time. More delay. Execute. Mac stands alone at the crater's edge. Around him, controlled chaos. Kowalski's teams hauling panels. Briggs organizing excavation. Patterson positioning monitoring equipment around the bomb. Radio crackles. Isley Tower to all stations. Lead aircraft reports headwinds. Fuel consumption higher than projected. Revised ETA now 0542. Mac calculates. 5:42 a.m. That is 3 hours 31 minutes from now. They just lost 10 minutes. The mathematics keep getting worse. But there is no time to dwell. Only time to execute. 2:24 a.m. Coral excavation from Charlie taxiway underway. Mac hears pneumatic drills grinding. 6-ton trucks rumbling back and forth hauling aggregate. Kowalski has staged 200 panels. 13,200 pounds of steel. Arranged near the crater, ready for installation. Ashford approaches with a diagram drawn in coral dust. The crater shown as irregular shape. Around it, rectangles representing panels. Sir, I've been thinking about installation sequence. Mac looks at the young engineer. 3 months in theatre. Still has the academic approach. All theory and calculation. But sometimes theory finds solutions experience misses. Standard protocol is sequential, Ashford says. We start at one edge work linearly across, west to east. 4-man teams. Average 30 seconds per panel. If we need 200 panels at 30 seconds each, that's 6,000 seconds. 100 minutes. We don't have 100 minutes. Mac already knows this. But he wants to hear Ashford's thinking.
What's your proposal? Ashford points to his diagram. Expanding squares. Start at center. Lay 4 panels in square formation. Then next ring 12 panels around center. Then next ring 20 panels. Expanding outward. Why? Multiple teams work simultaneously without interference. 6 4-man teams, each working different perimeter sections, all moving outward together. If each panel still takes 30 seconds but 6 are laid simultaneously, effective rate becomes 5 seconds per panel, cuts 100-minute installation to 17 minutes. Mac studies the diagram. The mathematics click into place. But there is something else. The interlocking pattern, Mac says slowly. Expanding squares means interior panels lock to 4 neighbors instead of 2. Ashford's eyes widen. He had not considered that. Standard linear installation, each panel hooks to 2 neighbors. But square pattern means interior panels hook to 4 sides. 4 connections. Better load distribution.
Sir, that increases load-bearing capacity significantly. Mac looks at the diagram again, at the crater, at staged panels, at assembled crews. We're doing it. Get Kowalski. Reorganize installation teams for concurrent expansion. Ashford moves quickly. Energy of a young engineer seeing theory become practice. Behind Mac, excavation continues. First truck arrives. Backs to crater edge. 8 cubic yards of crushed coral cascade into the hole. Briggs directs placement. His crews spread aggregate with shovels and rakes, creating level foundation. Another truck. Another load. The crater slowly filling. Mac checks his watch. 2:33 a.m. 3 hours, 9 minutes remaining. Radio crackles. Isley Tower, Angel 2-3. Lead aircraft. We have a problem. Mac recognizes Major David Hollenbeck's voice. Lead bomber pilot. 36 years old. Calm under pressure. Professional. If Hollenbeck says there is a problem, there is a problem. Angel 2-3, go ahead. Tower rough running on engine number 2. Oil pressure fluctuating. Temperature elevated. We've reduced power but consumption now 40% above normal on remaining engines. Mac does the calculation. B-29 carries 7,940 gallons. Mission to Tokyo at normal consumption approximately 7,500 gallons. Reserve 440 gallons. 30 minutes flight time. But if consumption increased 40% on 3 engines to compensate for failing 4th, that reserve is gone. Angel 2-3 current fuel state. Pause. Hollenbeck checking gauges. Tower approximately 4 hours 15 minutes endurance at current rate. But that assumes no further deterioration. If we lose engine 2 completely, we're looking at 3 hours 45 minutes. Mac looks at his watch. 2:35 a.m. 3 hours 45 minutes is 6:20 a.m. Their revised arrival was 5:42 a.m. But if the formation is burning fuel 40% faster, they might not make 5:42. Angel 2-3, understand fuel critical. Continue current heading. Isley Field runway repair in progress. We will have you code green on arrival. Tower, we're not the only ones. Formation reporting multiple engine issues. Flak damage over target heavier than expected. At least 6 aircraft with significant mechanical problems. Copy. Runway will be ready. Mac clips the radio. Looks at the crater. At the work underway. At mathematics that keep deteriorating. They have lost timeline cushion. Lost fuel reserve. Operating on margins so thin that one additional complication cascades into catastrophic failure. But no time to recalculate. Only time to execute. At 2:49 a.m., 4th truck of coral arrives. Briggs signals. Crater filled. Compaction beginning. Then Kowalski approaches. Problem written across his face. Sir, the steamroller. Mac turns. The 6-ton compaction machine sits motionless. Tires. The coral we excavated has steel fragments embedded. Punctured the pneumatic tires. Roller is disabled. Standard protocol requires 3 steamroller passes minimum. Ensures adequate compaction. Ensures coral base will not shift under repeated aircraft impacts. Without the roller, they cannot achieve specification compaction. Time to repair. Best case, 90 minutes. We don't have it. Mac thinks back to Guadalcanal, Henderson Field. A repair where the roller failed and they improvised. Get me a 6-ton truck, fully loaded with steel panels as additional weight. Dead weight compaction. Kowalski understands. That'll take more passes. 8 passes to equal 3 roller passes. I know. but it's our only option. At 2:53 a.m., loaded truck begins driving across filled crater. 5 miles per hour. Weight presses coral, compacting it. Briggs follows with field penetrometer. Measures compaction resistance after each pass. First pass 1800 psi. Second pass 2200 psi. Third pass 2600 psi. They need 3200. Seventh pass 3100 psi. Eighth pass 3350. Above spec. Mac exhales. But the time? 3:09 a.m. 2 hours, 31 minutes remaining. Compaction took 36 minutes. Their 40-minute protocol already exceeded, and they have not laid a single panel. But now, finally, foundation is ready. All teams, Mac calls. Begin installation. Center of repair area. 4 panels in square. Then expand. 6 teams move. 24 men converging on crater. First 4 panels carried into position. 66 pounds each. 4 men per panel. First panel positioned. Hooks along one edge, slots along the other. Second panel slides in. Hooks engage slots. Click of steel on steel. Third panel. Fourth panel. Center square formed. Clips hammered. Clang, clang, clang. 30 seconds for first square. First ring. 12 panels around center. 6 teams divide work. Each takes 2 panels, working simultaneously. Coordinated rhythm. 60 seconds for first ring. Second ring. 20 panels. Panels sliding. Hooks engaging. Clips hammering. 90 seconds for second ring. The method works. Expanding square pattern allows multiple teams without interference. Installation rate dramatically faster than sequential. Mac watches, counts, calculates. At this rate, 200 panels will take 18 minutes. But as third ring begins 28 panels, something becomes apparent. Teams are tiring, pace slowing, not dramatically, but measurably. First rings laid with fresh energy. But this is the Pacific. Temperature 86 degrees at 3:15 a.m. Humidity 85%. Men soaked with sweat, breathing hard. Human endurance degrades exponentially under sustained exertion. Fourth ring, 36 panels. Teams rotating now. Fresh men swapping for exhausted men. CB culture of collective responsibility. One man stumbles carrying a panel. Panel slips. 66 pounds of steel crashes against already placed panels. Sound echoes. Man recovers. Picks up panel. Continues. But the miss cost 15 seconds. Fifth ring. 44 panels. The expanding square creates steel carpet growing outward. Each ring larger, each requiring more coordination. Sixth ring. 52 panels. At 3:32 a.m. Ashford approaches, face troubled. Sir, panel count. We've installed 176, staged 200, 24 remaining. Correct. But sir, I recalculated. With extension around the bomb, we need 203 panels. We're 3 short. Mac feels calculations collapse. 3 panels short. 198 pounds of steel. 30 feet of runway surface. They miscounted initial damage. Crater was larger. Extension required more area. Time to retrieve from backup stockpile. 45 minutes minimum. We don't have it. Mac looks at his watch. 3:33 a.m. 2 hours 9 minutes until aircraft arrival. He looks at repair area, at expanding steel pattern, at the gap that will remain, and makes a decision that will either save or condemn 900 lives. Pull panels from perimeter edges, 3 feet on each side. Redeploy to fill center gaps. Create continuous 12-foot wide corridor down the center. Ashford looks uncertain. Sir, edge gaps. If aircraft drift during landing, if they drift that far off centerline, we have bigger problems. Center path will be full strength. Edges incomplete. But center is what matters. Mac is gambling. Betting precision will hold. That pilots who flew 3,000 miles through enemy fire with failing engines will maintain centerline discipline. Not comfortable, but the only bet available. Execute. Teams move immediately. Panels just laid on outer edges now pulled up. Clips removed. Hooks disengaged. Steel sections carried inward to fill center gaps. 3:41 a.m. 1 hour, 59 minutes remaining. Mac radios tower. Status on Angel 2-3. Commander, last position report puts formation 160 miles out. Lead confirms engine 2 failed completely. Shut down. Flying on 3 engines. Formation speed decreased. Revised ETA now 0552. 5:52 a.m. 2 hours 11 minutes from now. 12 minutes gained. Not because aircraft are faster, because they are slower. Conserving fuel, nursing damaged engines. The formation is worse shape than reported. Multiple aircraft limping. Everyone focused on fuel conservation over speed. When they arrive, zero reserves. No second approach, no divert. Land on Isley or ditch. Runway will be code green at 0550. At 3:47 a.m., Kowalski approaches. So panel inventory. We redeployed edge panels. Current configuration shows 7 panels remaining in staging. Center load path complete except one final section. 4 panels needed. We'll have 3 surplus. 3 surplus, after being 3 short. Mathematics closed. But Kowalski adds, "Sir, there's something you should see." He points to stacked panels. One shows discoloration, rust, corrosion along hook edges. Seawater exposure during transport. We found 12 corroded panels in stockpile, not severe, still functional, but below specification. Mac examines closely. Corrosion is superficial. Surface oxidation. Structural integrity appears sound. Hooks intact. Panel would function. But under repeated 65-ton impacts. Under continuous bomber operations, would corroded hooks hold? Your assessment. Kowalski chooses words carefully. Sir, I'd rate these 85% specification. They'd hold for fighters, maybe medium bombers, but B-29s repeatedly I wouldn't stake my life.
But you'd stake it on spec panels. Yes, sir, without hesitation. Mac looks at the corroded panel, at 12 others like it, at repair mathematics. 7 panels remaining, 4 needed for center path, 3 surplus. If they discard 12 corroded, they lose surplus. Go back to being short, because some already laid in center path are corroded. But if they use corroded in non-critical positions areas where load distributes across multiple panels, where redundancy provides backup, they might be acceptable. How many corroded already laid in center? Kowalski consults clipboard. 3, sir, all interior rings. High redundancy, 4-way interlocking. Interior panels with 4-way interlocking, connected to neighbors on all sides. Load distributed through multiple connections. If one weakened load transfers to adjacent panels, this is what Matheson designed for. Not perfect components, but resilient systems. Systems where individual failures do not cascade. Leave them. Corroded panels in center stay. Do not use additional corroded for final positions. Use only spec panels for closure. Yes, sir. Another compromise, another calculated risk. Another bet that system compensates for component weakness. Mac is understanding what Matheson tried to explain. Engineering is not about perfection. It is about acceptable risk. Understanding which failures can be tolerated. Designing systems that continue functioning when components degrade. Germans would reject corroded panels, insist on perfection, delay repair until perfect components arrived, and 900 men would die waiting for perfection. At 3:58 a.m. final 4 panels slide into position. Last clips hammered home. Center load path complete. 12 feet wide, 180 feet long. Continuous interlocked steel over compacted coral over volcanic substrate. Mac walks its length. Boots ring on steel. Surface feels solid. Panels do not flex under his 170 weight. But will they hold 65 tons at 140 miles per hour? Mathematics say yes. Engineering says yes. Matheson's design says yes. But there is always uncertainty, always the gap between theory and reality. 4:30 a.m. General Harrison arrives. 55 years old. Career officer. Flew P-40s in 1942. Commands Isley Field. Responsible for everything that happens here. He examines the repair. Continuous center corridor. Edge gaps. Status. Runway functional, sir. Center load path complete. Rated for B-29 operations. Edge gaps present but non-critical for centerline landings. Harrison walks onto matting. Stops at an edge gap. Looks down at exposed coral. Not standard configuration. No, sir. Panel shortage due to larger crater and ordnance extension. Solution prioritized center load path over edge completion. Will it hold? The question. The only question that matters. So mathematics indicates center path will support 65-ton loads at landing speeds. Interlocking provides redundancy. Compaction meets spec, but I cannot guarantee zero risk. Harrison looks at him. Commander in combat, there is no zero risk. Question is whether runway risk is less than ditching 81 aircraft in the Pacific. Runway risk is significantly lower, sir. Then that's the decision. Runway is code green at 0550. Harrison starts to leave. Stops. Turns back. McAllister, I've read your file. Guadalcanal, Henderson Field. You've done this before. How many times has a repair failed? Mac considers. 2 years of repairs, dozens of craters, hundreds of landings on repaired surfaces. Never, sir. The matting has never failed. Why? Because the design accounts for failure, sir. Matheson designed a system where components can fail without system failing. The redundancy, the interlocking, the load distribution, it's engineered to be resilient. Not perfect, but resilient.
Harrison nods slowly. Then I'm betting 900 lives on resilience. He leaves. At 4:23 a.m., Briggs approaches. Sir, situation with the bomb. Mac's stomach tightens. What situation? Patterson reports surface temperature increasing, slowly but measurably. Solar heating as dawn approaches may be affecting internal mechanisms. Mac looks east. Sky beginning to lighten. Solar radiation will increase temperatures. Metal expands when heated. If the fuse is sensitive to temperature changes, get Patterson. Patterson arrives within 2 minutes. Face shows strain. Sir, temperature increase 0.3 degrees Celsius over 15 minutes, approximately 1 degree per hour. If fuse has thermal trigger, possible detonation within 30 to 60 minutes. 4:25 a.m. 85 minutes until bombers arrive. If bomb detonates at 4:55 a.m., 55 minutes before landing, they would have time to repair new damage. Maybe. If it detonates at 5:25 a.m., 25 minutes before landing. Not enough time. Can you accelerate extraction? Not safely. Moving it now with temperature rising increases detonation risk to 70%. 70% chance of detonation during movement. Would kill Patterson's team. Possibly destroy runway repair. Definitely prevent landing. Recommendation? Patterson looks at bomb. At runway. At lightning sky. Sir, evacuate area and allow controlled detonation if thermal trigger activates. Safety perimeter should protect main repair. We'd lose 50 feet of matting around bomb, but primary runway remains functional. Rational recommendation. Accept loss of 50 feet. Protect primary landing surface. But Mac thinks about problems containing solutions. About Matheson's philosophy. About 87 holes that are not weakness, but design. Bomb position is outside center load path, Mac says slowly. If it detonates, blast propagates outward, away from runway centerline. Correct, sir. But blast creates pressure wave. Shock through ground. That vibration affects entire runway. Patterson nods. Significant vibration, yes, but matting should hold, designed to flex under dynamic loads. Mac calculates. Bomb positioned 30 feet north of centerline. Detonation creates 15-foot diameter crater. Edge of that crater approximately 7 feet from center load path edge. 7 feet of coral and volcanic substrate separating blast from repaired runway. Will it be enough? Cannot know. Blast propagation through heterogeneous substrate is unpredictable, but they have no choice. Maintain monitoring. Do not attempt extraction. If detonation appears imminent, sound alarm and evacuate to minimum safe distance, but do not actively intervene. Understood. 4:31 a.m. 1 hour 19 minutes until landing. Mac radios tower. Runway status code green with advisory. Unexploded ordnance at runway edge showing temperature increase. Possible detonation prior to arrival. If detonation occurs, runway may remain functional, but recommend holding pattern for assessment before clearance. Roger, Commander. Relaying to formation leader. At 4:47 a.m. radio crackles. Isley Tower, Angel 2-3. We have visual on island, 80 miles out. Request straight-in approach clearance. Fuel state critical. Repeat critical. Multiple aircraft reporting less than 20 minutes fuel remaining. Less than 20 minutes. At current speed, that is less than 80 miles. Flying on fumes. They have to hold while bomb detonation is assessed. Some will not make it. Mac makes his decision. Picks up radio. Angel 2-3 Isley Tower. You are cleared straight in approach runway 04. Wind 050 at 8 knots. Altimeter 2992. Runway code green. No holding required. Cleared to land. Pause. Then Hollenbeck's voice carefully controlled. Tower Roger. Cleared to land runway 04. Angel 2-3. Mac has committed. If bomb detonates during final approach, bombers have nowhere to go. No fuel for go-around. No time to divert. They will land on potentially damaged runway. Or ditch. He has gambled everything on belief that bomb will either detonate in next 15 minutes, giving time to assess, or will not detonate at all. At 5:03 a.m. Patterson approaches. Sir, bomb temperature stabilized. No further increase past 12 minutes. Mac feels tension release. Stabilized. Yes, sir. Thermal equilibrium reached. Ambient temperature and solar heating balanced by radiative cooling. Unless something changes, temperature should remain constant until direct sunlight hits bomb casing in approximately 45 minutes. After bombers land. Yes, sir. At 5:11 a.m., first aircraft becomes visible. Dark shape against lightening eastern sky. Growing larger. Distinctive B-29 profile. 4 engines. High tail. Aluminum skin reflecting dawn light. More shapes behind it. Entire formation. 81 aircraft strung across 10 miles. Some trailing smoke.
some visibly damaged, all coming home. Mac stands at runway threshold, positioned here deliberately. If runway fails, if matting collapses under first landing, he will see it. Will understand what went wrong. Will know in final seconds as debris and steel and aircraft converge whether mathematics were wrong or execution was flawed. 5:17 a.m. Led B-29 on final approach, 2 miles out. Landing gear extending. Hydraulics and mechanical locks. Flaps deploying. Aircraft slowing. Descending. Mac can see the cockpit. Imagines Hollenbeck in left seat. Co-pilot right. Engineer behind. All watching airspeed. Altitude. Descent rate. Runway growing through windscreen. 1 mile out. Aircraft crosses reef. Over beach. Over jungle. Approaching threshold. Half mile. Mac hears engines now. 3 of them. Fourth number 2 shut down. Propeller feathered. Nacelle dark. Quarter mile. Aircraft 100 feet above runway.
Descending 700 feet per minute. Speed 140. 65 tons of aluminum and steel and fuel and men. Main gear down. Mac sees wheels. 4 wheels in 2 bogies, 8 feet apart. Will touch down 200 feet from where he stands. Exactly where bomb crater was 3 hours ago. Where volcanic ash and coral aggregate and interlocking steel now wait. 100 feet. 90. 80. Aircraft committed. Cannot go around. Not enough fuel. Not enough power from 3 engines. This landing succeeds or fails. No middle ground. 60 feet. 50. B-29 flares. Nose rising. Speed bleeding. Sink rate decreasing. 40 feet. 30. 20. 10. Main wheels touch steel. The sound is distinctive. Hard clang of rubber on steel. Screech of tires gripping perforated surface. Tremendous bass thump of 65 tons transferring kinetic energy into runway structure. Matting flexes. Mac sees it. Visible depression. 2 inches. Maybe 3. Panels bending under load.
Interlocking hooks taking stress. Clips holding. Coral underneath compressing. Volcanic substrate absorbing energy. And then panels spring back. Flat, level, solid. B-29 rolls forward. Brakes applied. Thrust reversers engaged on 3 working engines. Deceleration forces pushing aircraft weight forward into main gear. More stress. More load. More test. Matting holds. Aircraft slows. 2,000 feet down runway. 3,000. 4,000. Coming to stop. Silence. Then cheering. Seabees watching. Celebrating. But Mac is not celebrating. He watches the runway. Looking for cracks. For separation. For any indication of failure. He sees none. Steel is intact. Interlocking held. System worked. 5 minutes later, second B-29 lands. Then third. Then fourth. One after another. 65-ton impacts. Each touching down on same runway section. Cumulative stress building. 5 aircraft. 10. 20. Matting continues to hold. By 6:08 a.m., 79 aircraft landed. All safely. All on repaired section. 2 diverted to Tinian. Fuel exhausted. Emergency landed there. Crews safe. But 79 out of 81. 869 men. Home. Safe. Because of steel and coral and mathematics and exhausted Seabees who refuse to accept impossible. At 6:23 a.m., Hollenbeck finds Mac. Pilot's flight suit dark with sweat. Face shows strain of 14 hours in air, 3,000 miles. Combat, mechanical failure, fuel starvation, landing on runway that did not exist 4 hours ago. They stand together, engineer and pilot, different roles, same mission. Commander, Major, I could see the repair from the air, could see center path, edge gaps, knew it wasn't standard. No, it wasn't. But you cleared us anyway. Mathematics said it would hold. Hollenbeck looks at runway, at section where he landed, at steel that supported his aircraft and crew. Mathematics and faith. Mathematics, Mac corrects. Faith is hoping something works. Mathematics is knowing why it should. But even as he says it, Mac knows there was faith involved. Faith in Matheson's design, faith in CB crews, faith in the system. And the system proved faithful in return. December 1944, 3 weeks after the repair. Mac receives folder from military intelligence. Captured Japanese documents from Iwo Jima. Engineering reports. Inside detailed analysis of Marston Mat. Photographs of captured panels. Calculations attempting to reverse engineer design. One report dated November 1944 catches his attention. Translation from Japanese. American Rapid Runway Construction Technology analyzed. Initial assessment: perforated steel reduces structural integrity 17.5%. Conclusion: vulnerable to bombing. Reality: observed repairs completed under 1 hour.
Multiple bombing attempts failed to disable operations. Reanalysis conducted. Discovery interlocking redundancy creates system strength exceeding component strength. Load distribution across multiple panels compensates for individual weakness. Conclusion. American design philosophy fundamentally different from imperial doctrine. We optimize component perfection. They optimize system resilience.
Recommendation. Attempt replication. Status. Unable to replicate. Requires industrial capacity for mass production of standardized components. Requires logistics for rapid deployment. Requires tactical doctrine prioritizing speed over perfection. Assessment. This technology gap cannot be closed through engineering alone. Requires different industrial and philosophical approach. Report signed by Commander Takeshi Yamamoto, Japanese naval engineer. At bottom, handwritten note in English, added by American translators. This officer was killed during defense of Iwo Jima, February 1945. Mac reads twice, then files carefully. The Japanese understood, recognized genius of Matheson's design. They simply could not replicate it. Not because they lacked engineering skill, but because they approached problems differently. One perfect sword folded 1,000 times, versus 1,000 adequate rifles stamped in a factory. Both philosophies valid. But in this war, in this theater across these distances, only one could win. November 1945. San Diego. War is over. Mac sits in office writing final engineering report when someone knocks. Hollenbeck, no longer in flight suit, civilian clothes now, discharged, going home. Commander, or should I say Mr. McAllister. Mac stands, shakes hand. David, congratulations on making it home. They sit. Two men who shared November night when mathematics and desperation intersected. I never properly thanked you, Hollenbeck says, for that runway, for getting us down. I did engineering, you did flying. We both did what we were trained for. But Mac, Hollenbeck pauses. I've been thinking about that night. About landing on steel that didn't exist 4 hours earlier. About trusting mathematics I didn't understand. And I realized something. War isn't won by bravest or strongest. It's won by people who build systems that let brave and strong matter. You built that system. You and thousands like you. Engineers, CBs, logistics officers. People whose names won't be in history books. Mac thinks about Matheson. About a man who died never knowing his design would save 100,000 lives. History books are overrated, Mac says quietly. I'd rather have functional runways. Hollenbeck smiles, reaches into jacket, pulls out photograph. B-29 touching down on steel matting. Taken from tower. November 27th, 1944, 5:17 a.m. Moment. Hollenbeck's aircraft landed on Repair Mac's team completed. For you, so you remember. Mac takes the photograph, studies it. Exact moment when theory became reality. When mathematics proved itself. When 87 holes per panel repeated across 200 panels held 65 tons at 140 miles per hour. I won't forget. After Hollenbeck leaves, Mac returns to his report. 2 million tons of perforated steel produced during the war. 30 million panels. 87 airfields in the Pacific. 34 temporary fields in Europe. From these runways, 34,790 B-29 sorties against Japan. 171,000 tons of bombs. 40% of Japanese industrial capacity destroyed. The Japanese defensive strategy assumed American airfield construction would require substantial time. 6 months for concrete runways. This assumption was foundation of their planned defense. Marston Matt invalidated that assumption. We built runways faster than they could plan defenses, repaired bomb damage faster than they could inflict it, adapted faster than they could counter-adapt. This was not won by superior weapons, not by braver men, not by better tactics. This was won by better logistics, by ability to deploy adequate solutions fast enough to overcome perfect solutions deployed too slowly. Mr. Gerald Rutherford Matheson died in 1943. Heart attack, 54 years old. He never saw his design in combat. Never knew his 87 holes would save estimated 100,000 American lives. But his philosophy survived. Design systems, not components. Accept adequate when adequate deploys faster than perfect. Prioritize resilience over strength. Build redundancy into every layer. The holes are not weakness. The holes are the design. 2 million tons of steel. 30 million panels. 2.6 billion holes total. Each hole a compromise. Each hole a sacrifice of theoretical maximum strength. But together, those billions of holes, they created victory. Mac signs the report. Files it. Looks at photograph Hollenbeck gave him. 1 B-29, 1 runway, 1 November night, and 87 holes that changed the war. Saipan present day. Section of original Marston mat still remains at what was once Isley Field. Overgrown now, part of historical site. Tourists occasionally visit, stand on rusted steel, count holes, 87 per panel. Most don't understand what they're looking at, don't realize they're standing on runway that won the Pacific War. But occasionally someone older visits, a veteran, or child of veteran, or someone who understands wars are won not by weapons that fire, but by systems that support them. They stand on steel, feel holes beneath their feet, and they understand. Sometimes the holes are what make it strong.